Hey there, I'm St-Pierre, and you're listening to Go Podcast. Today I talk about, is Go a good choice for your startup? It's a little bit more complicated than that. Hello Gophers! This will be a solo episode this week. So I was again lurking on /r/Golang on Reddit basically, and I saw this topic, Golang for a startup, and it kind of triggered me. So because it turns out like I know a thing or two about startup and Go basically. So let's start from the beginning. I've been building software as a service since 2008 basically. So at some point. I was 8 years old in this industry at this point, and I saw an opportunity to to have more fun than what I was building in typical line of business application and things like that. So it appealed to me that I wanted this freedom or this control over what I wanted to build. Maybe it would be a little bit more. Exciting and whatnot. So this space attracted me a lot in this early days. So I've been building small SaaS. So some has been somewhat successful, and nothing really crazy. Never went the venture capital way as well. So it was always bootstrap. But there's two that sustained multiple employees and things like that. So it's not all failure. There's a lot of failure, and I even wrote a book in 2018 about that. So that I turned into an online course later. And I'm thinking about adding some interesting thing in this course. But I diverge a little bit. So Go and startup. Yes, of course, it's a Go podcast. We are all probably Gophers at some point, with multiple different years of experience and whatnot. We will probably say, Go can do most of the things. The thing is, when you're going to build a startup, well. First of all, it depends. There's two paths. There's the self-funded way, of bootstrapping a company, and there's the venture capital way. So if you are going to take the first path, which is the self-funded, you might be solo. You might be with one co-founder, maybe two other. It depends. At some point, of course, the best way to go is probably, based on the technical founder. What they already know is probably the best choice of technology, to be frank, because at some point, the goal of starting a software business is to finally start to have conversation with customers, making sure that your users are understanding what you are, proposing them, and start to get some early stage feedback to shape the product into what could be something that would bring money at some point. So the technology is not at all important, to be completely frank. And that's why you are seeing those no code, offering these days. There's people that are not technical founder that are able to bootstrap a software company to, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 grand in MRR. And if you don't know, MRR is like monthly recurring revenue. So the technology is not at all important until you reach a very, very later stage of scaling, and you might never reach that, to be completely frank. So I always say things like, if you are to build a software company, a startup, anything that that feels over-engineered at first is overkill for a long time. You know, there's no need for all that shit. You're not building a company that has 500 engineers that needs to work on, you know, 10 different projects. That it's not the same thing. So I've seen that as the first mistake that people are doing, is that they are coming from the organization / big enterprise world, and they want to build a software company, and they build that with the same kind of, you know, over-engineered and over-complexed way that they have seen so far, because this is what they know. And the danger with that, especially if you are solo, so first of all, the first danger with that is that you will focus most of your time in your engineering things, because you will have so many things to maintain just to, you know, just to change something and things like that. You will not have enough velocity to be able to do marketing and do customer development and things like that. So if you are going to be solo, I'm sorry, but let's, you know, build a small monolith, deploy that on a $5 per month DigitalOcean server, just SSH there, copy whatever you need to do there, or you don't even need a CI at this point and things like that. You just need to put something out there and make sure that there's at least a couple of people, hopefully businesses, that cares enough to talk to you and maybe try your software. So this is the first challenge. So building a software company is not at all about technology. And I've been doing that since 2008, and I was not thinking like that at first. So my first attempt, as most technical founder, you know, I jumped into this mistake of thinking that I was getting progress because the project was growing in terms of complexity, in terms of feature. So let's take an example. For the first product that I've built was a Twitter kind of application at the time. It was allowing you to enter some keywords, and it was doing some research in the background, and it was following people for you. So at that time, early stage Twitter, 2007, 2008, when you were following someone, you know, you were kind of guaranteed to be followed back most of the time. So this tool was basically just it seems simple today, but I mean, it reached almost 15,000 users. I was not charging for that. I was just building. I was just, this was probably the product that I've built that got the most product market fit, in a sense. But I was completely focused on the technology part. I was not really, you know, even thinking about charging to that. So my business mind was not really great. I was like 27 years old at that time. I just wanted to build something cool. And to be frank, it's fine. It's totally fine. But my point is, as most technical founder do at first, we tend to see some progress in a software business, because we are building things, we are adding feature that we think will be useful and things like that. So this is a trap. You should not, and this is why, you know, this is why people keep saying you should build the minimum viable product and things like that. But it's bigger than that. You should probably not build anything more than probably one or two user interface, and try to see, if you are solo, try to find people first. This will be where where you will have the most problem. You will be able to build a software. We are software engineer. This is what we do. To earn money and things like that. This is not the problem. If you are with a co-founder, hopefully you have found yourself someone that is good at marketing, someone that is good at customer development or early stage getting traction to something. So now you can probably focus a little bit more on the technical part. But even there, and this is where I'm coming with Go. So especially so if the technical person that is going to build the software isn't proficient in Go and it's not their main language, there's no reason to pick anything else that you already know. Unless you want a challenge or something like that. I've done that in the past, but it's probably not the best choice, to be frank. You are mostly better to go with what you already know and control what you can and think monolith at this point. And this is the danger with Go. So a Go technical founder could be tempted to implement way too much overkill, over-engineered concept at this point. And what is this point? This point is your early stage software business time. You're not looking after scaling. You're not looking after handling 10,000 users. You will probably never have more than 500 to 1,000 concurrent user in your software anyway. And trust me on that. I mean, and if you are, then you have built something extraordinary, and you will probably be able to get funding at some point, or you will have a lot of money to just rewrite the shitty monolith that you built at first. But I mean, this is like 0.01% of everyone that is building a software business. So the danger with Go is probably to go with gRPC and go with a super decentralized, distributed web application at first, and you does not even know if your software offering will be bought by any companies out there. So that that is a huge investment. So if you are to take, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to build something that you don't even know if anyone would care about that, and worst, anyone would be ready to show you some money, then what is the point of building that? You're not really trying to build a software business. You're just trying to have fun, and you probably want to build something. That is totally fine. But it's if your goal is really to build a sustainable software business that maybe you alone, maybe you and 1 or 2 other co-founder would be able to live on that, then I'm sorry, but the quicker you can put something out there, the better. So that's why, something like a monolith is probably easier. I would even dare say that's why Rails and Django are so popular in the software, early stage industry, because it's so much quicker. And I know I can also build, a monolith and Go very quickly. It's not really the act of building the monolith. It's everything in between. The database migration, just the overall integration with the front end and the back end, because you're building a software business. You will not have a huge front end team that will handle all the shitty JavaScript and HTML, CSS thing that you don't like to do in your day job, right? So you still need to account for that. And if you know, I come from a time where a programmer that was building a web application in the early 2000s. So I started my career in 2001 actually. And at that time, if you were building web application, you were by default, you were a full stack engineer. That what we call full stack today. That was simply a web developer in my time. There was no back end, there was no front end separation between those two. You were handling, the front end and the back end. That was what we call a web application after all. So if you are building a software business and you are alone, or you are with some co-founder, maybe you will be lucky and you will be able to find someone in the co-founding team that will be able to do the UI as well. In that case, then yes, you may be tempted to just focus on the back end, and maybe now building a monolith back end API in Go could be something you could investigate. I'm not convinced that it would be quicker, but it's certainly there's other reasons though to choose Go. And I've built 2 SaaS in Go, one in 2016 and one in 2018 actually, and I never regretted that choice. So what happened basically in 2016, I think it was 2015 actually, don't really recall, it's not important. I was starting a business, or in fact I was joining someone that already had some kind of validation for an idea, but they were looking at now implementing this idea into a software product. And they wanted to go with Node.js because Node.js at this time was extremely solid. It still is. In term, when I say solid, I mean, it was a poor choice of word. It was like popular, yeah. So I did that because the value of easily finding people and things like that. At some point, I said, all right, I'm proficient with Node and TypeScript and whatnot. This is fine. So I did that, and after 1 month, or maybe it was 2 months, I was having so much pain with all the callbacks and things like that. Promises was not really very, very there at this time, or at least maybe not super popular. The front end was in React. At some point, I woke up in the morning and I already started Go for 1 year at that time, and I rewritten the entire backend. So it was still the right time to do that because it was very, very early. There was not a huge amount of feature, but you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to do a wrong choice of technology when you are starting a software business. The less time that you fight with the choice of technology, the better chance you will have to have a successful business. So that's why the rules number 1 is go with what you know that you will be able to build something very quick. If it's good, then it's fine. It's all good. If it's something else, you should probably not consider anything new at this point. You will have a lot of time at some point, because let me let me explain a little bit how it works, because it's very different. If you've never been into a small software business, and what is a small software business? A small software business is under 15, 20 employees maximum. So, you know, this is very calm. Well, often, if you're lucky and you want to build a great culture and things like that, you might have heard about the calm company, you know, mindset and but I mean, we are diverging. There's so many things to say. I mean, we are exactly where I like to be in my life. So this is the kind of thing that I really enjoy building. So for me, it's not building a software. For me, it's about building a software company that have a great culture, a culture of calm, where future employees will just want to work there. That, you know, there's no crazy meetings, and there's no agile and all that enterprise weight that you can skip at that scale, because you are maybe 5, you are maybe 12, etc. I mean, this is completely different. But the thing that you're building is not really the software. So you're building this company, and this is this is where choices really will impact your future. But I was starting to say that at some point you will have a lot of time, because the cycle for a typical co-founder is that you will be working like a crazy person in the early stage of your software business. So it's probably, it could be the first year, maybe it's the first year and a half, 2 years, where if you are lucky, you will gain some traction at some point, and now you will start to receive some customer feedback and things like that, and the product will be shaped based on what your team envision for the future and how to grow it. But that's the beauty. If you're lucky and you can skip the venture capital, then you will have so much control over what you want to build, and this is where building a superb software business is possible, because now you're not in a growth at all costs mindset or forced to do that because the venture capital needs to to capital on their investment, and they want to see result and things like that, and you need to burn money and things like, you know. So this is probably the biggest choice that the founding team that start a software business will need to do. You know, are you going to be self-funded? Are you going to take a little bit of investment, or are you going to need to have a Series A and things like that, and now you need, I don't know, 10 million to survive? And you know, this is all very, very different. I never did the huge VC funded thing, so I cannot really speak for that. What I can speak for is, if you want to build a calm software company, then, like I said, at some point you will have time to over-engineer. If this is what you really like to do, don't do that at first. But if your company is successful and you want to scale, and at some point you say to yourself, well, we need to go from our old monolith to a distributed service-based Go application, you know, there's no problem. That there will be a place and time to do this transition for you, and you will have the perfect environment to do that, because now the money will flow. You will not have any stress. You will be able to do that. If it takes 6 months, that's no problem at some point, because at some point, it's not like a software business needs updates and new feature and things like that every weeks. So yeah, I mean, this is why I think the choice of language is not very. It will not impact you for a long time. It's not an organization that you're stuck in at some point you cannot change, because that would be extremely crazy to do. A startup, a small software company, is very different than probably what you have lived. And for me, it was the other way around. So my experiences are more with smaller software companies since the beginning, and I've only had one experience with a huge enterprise, and I can see the difference. I mean, in a huge enterprise, well, you cannot say, you know what, next Monday we are going to rewrite this core software application, and we will do that in the next 6 months. It will take 5 years to do if the management far and on top of you ever accept to do that, because at some point they are probably making some bonuses on key objective for the company, so they don't care at all about about the software rewrite and things like that, even if it would be extremely beneficial for the company at some point. There's so many level to convince to do something, and it's not like that. If you were able to find enough customer, and at some point after let's say after 2 years you're bringing maybe 85 or 100,000 per month, and you are still like, I don't know, 3%, 4%, you can just decide to say, you know what, we are starting to have a lot of scaling issues, because now we are growing, and there is 200 new customers per month, so it's time for a change. You will have time to do that. It's not at the beginning of your software business that you need to do those things. You need to really focus on shipping something, making sure that it will not cost you more in terms, not only in terms of money, but especially in terms of time. So if for you have always built, distributed, service oriented, and you want Kubernetes at first, and you want to deploy on AWS because this is what you know and things like that, and you are certain that you will not have any blocker, or, well, by all means, if it's what you know and you're confident that you will be able to build something very quick, then go for it. The issue is that if you're not really sure, and when you evaluate the amount of work that you will have to do, because now you are going to do the architecture, the back end, the infrastructure, the front end. You will probably have to give end with some limited support, maybe just email or being on the live chat. You will probably want to to listen to a couple of customers interview. And if you are alone, then you have a lot more, on your plate. Now you will need to do, the marketing website. You will need to do marketing. You will need to do customer development. You will need to talk with customers, do some demos and things like that. There is a lot of things to do. So it's very, very different than just being responsible for one part of a software in an organization. So that is where the choice of technology, I think, is very, very irrelevant at first, because you need to pick the easiest thing for you, or if you are two person that is going to work on on the technical part, then choose something that both will be fine with, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, this is an interesting topic for me as well, because I've been there. I've built a lot of SaaS. At first, they were all in .NET. At some point, I changed to JavaScript, Go, and Python as well with Django. So I mean, yeah, the technology choice is not at all important. I'm sorry to all my software engineer friends that might be listening, but yeah, a small software development company, the choice of technology, as long as you are good with it and you will be able to ship fast, this is all that matters. All right, on that, I will see you next week. Bye. All right, that's it for this week. I would really appreciate if you can talk or share about this podcast. It's always helpful. Also, another way to support this show is by purchasing my course. There's always a link in the show notes. So on that, see you next week.